Then, after 3 days, Erhard is in his Amsterdam office when he gets a call. It's good news. One of his team has found the 747's flight data recorder.
We waren dolblij.
We were very happy. At last we could take a step forward in our investigation.
This black box records all the aircraft's critical technical data. It could prove the breakthrough they so desperately need. But when they open it, it's a terrible letdown. The tape inside is broken in 4 places. And data from the plane's critical final 2.5 minutes is indecipherable. They send the recorder to specialists in Washington, D.C. and the USA. They hit the jackpot. A diver finds the inner engine, half buried by mud. It's still attached to the mounting that fixed it to the wing. In fact, they can find nothing wrong with the engine itself. But when they examine its cowling, the outer casing, they quickly spot something odd. A dent, and on it, smears of black paint. The team studies the 747's engine attachment system. 4 fittings hold the engines to the wing. At the heart of each is a 14-centimeter long hollow steel bolt called a fuse pin. The fuse pins are strong enough to take the load of a 5-ton jet engine at full thrust. But in some circumstances, they're actually designed to fail. If an engine suffers a crisis, like a mechanical seizure or a bird strike, it can vibrate violently. If the vibrations get too severe, the engine might tear itself free, destroying the wing with dire consequences. To prevent this, investigators know that all 747s have a damage limitation system. When vibrations reach a critical point, the fuse pins are engineered to snap, allowing the engine to fall away harmlessly. But on one fitting, investigators spot something intriguing. The top of the lug that held the fuse pin has snapped off. Did this happen when the engine hit the lake, or earlier? Metallurgists examine the brake and make a dramatic discovery. The stress markings are not typical of a violent impact. They reveal that the lug snapped because it was overloaded. They realize this can only have happened if the fuse pin inside broke at one end. This would transfer significant stresses and twisting forces onto the lug at the other end, making it give way. Fuse pins are designed to break at both ends if the strain on the engine reaches a critical point. Erhard believes that a partial failure can only mean one thing: metal fatigue in the fuse pin. But Erhard knows the inner engine would only shear off if both central fuse pins failed. To prove their theory, investigators will have to find the missing fuse pin from the other central fitting. The chances of finding such a tiny part in Gooimeer Lake are remote. Erhard's only hope that a significant fragment was still attached to the wing when the jumbo crashed. He deploys more than 20 workers to search the garbage dump where crashed debris now lies. No one holds out much hope. The missing fuse pin was only 14 centimeters long. Then, on day 3, one of the teams spots a piece of metal half hidden by garbage. It's part of the missing central fitting from the inner engine. And against all the odds, there's a chunk of fuse pin still inside. Investigators know it may be their last chance to solve the mystery behind the disaster. They begin scanning the fragment under an electron microscope as soon as it arrives from the rubbish dump. And they find their answer. In the wall of the fuse pin, there's a crack 4 millimeters deep. With every flight, the microscopic cracks in the inner engine's fuse pins got bigger and bigger. On October 4th, 1992, they reached a critical point. At 6,500 feet, with the engine at full thrust, the faulty fuse pins fail. Then they received the test results on paint smears found on the inner engine's cowling. The smears are an exact match for the paint used on the central fan blade spinner of the outer engine. They realize there's only one possible explanation. The inner engine was at full thrust as the plane climbs. So when it shears off, it doesn't fall harmlessly away, it shoots forward. A split second later, it falls back, and by sheer chance, strikes the outer engine, smashing it off the wing. The impact also rips away a 10-meter stretch of the wing's leading edge. Investigators now know that a freak accident caused two engines to fall off Flight 1862. Then, 18 days after the crash, the team gets some good news. Experts in the USA have retrieved the information from the damaged flight data recorder. The technical readings it contains prove to be the final piece of the puzzle. They reveal in chilling detail what finally downed Flight 1862. 8 minutes to disaster. Defective fuse pins holding the inner engine to the wing snap, causing the plane to lose not one, but two engines. This catastrophe also damages a 10-meter stretch of the wing's leading edge, causing a major disruption of airflow over it. This reduces lift on the right-hand side and makes the 747 roll to the right. Captain Fuchs has also lost two hydraulic systems, controlling key anti-roll devices. He only manages to wrestle the jumbo back to level flight by pushing his remaining controls to the limit. The flight data analysis reveals that his current airspeed of 280 knots is the key. It's just high enough to get sufficient lift out of the right wing to keep them aloft. 39 seconds to go. 5 kilometers from the Belmer apartment complex. Now, Captain Fuchs lifts the jumbo's nose to slow the plane down for landing, unaware that this routine procedure will have fatal consequences. The flight data reveals that this change in angle worsens the disruption in airflow over the mangled right wing. The result is a further loss of lift on this side of the plane, and it starts to roll again. Captain Fuchs struggles to pull it level. But his airspeed has now dropped below 260 knots, reducing lift even more. This time, his damaged controls cannot save him.
Controlling problem.
30 seconds to disaster. As the roll and loss of lift reach a critical point, the 338-ton jumbo plummets earthward. Rescue workers found the bodies of 16-year-old Guillermo and 14-year-old Graciela the morning after the crash, just meters from where their home once stood. Medical experts believe they were killed instantly. The apartments in the crash zone were demolished, but their foundations remain. Nearby is a permanent memorial to the victims. But the disaster also leaves another legacy. Boeing goes on to strengthen all 747 engine-to-wing attachments, including fuse pins. It also rolls out a more stringent inspection regime with new ultrasound testing to detect metal fatigue. The changes brought about by the Schiphol crash make every 747 flying today a safer aircraft.